Spoilers, card types, and everything about. Not only does the club go up on a Tuesday, spoilers appear out of random as well. We're talking about the new card type set to reveal from March of the Machines, accidentally spoiled today. I think it's an honest mistake, but I'm here to give you my first reactions and help you to think about how is this going to change the way we play Magic, and talk about some of the key parts of this new permanent that you may not get at first glance. Let's just hide my camera and get right into it. I'm talking about the Invasion of Zendikar. 1 green and 3 for a battle siege. As siege enters, choose an opponent to protect it. You and others can attack it. When it's defeated, exile it, then cast the other side, the transform side. When Invasion of Zendikar enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. The flip side is going to be something by the name of Awakened Skyclave. Vigilance Haste. As long as Awakened Skyclave is on the battlefield, it's a land in addition to its other types. Add 1 mana of any color as a 4/4. So it's a kind of land that you can't really tutor up as a land, so I guess that's the key with that. But it's also a 4/4 with vigilance and haste, which is nice. So when it transforms, you can use the land immediately because it's a creature, so it needs haste to be able to tap, which is all nice in all that sense. But let's talk about the key parts about this saga. What do you need to know going into spoiler season? And here's some things that you can brew with. So let me bring my camera back here. So again, just addressing the elephant in the room, a creator accidentally spoiled it. I believe just due to timing differences. It was supposed to start tomorrow, March 29th. Again, not going to name them, honest mistake. It's cool. We get something to talk about in the Magic sphere. So first and foremost, the way you want to think about this card is like a Planeswalker. So something that sticks on the battlefield as a permanent type, and you have to separately declare attackers to it. So just like how you have to declare that I'm attacking X player, I'm attacking a Planeswalker, you are attacking the battle. You have to defeat it. And we'll talk about combat in a second, but it has this kind of permanent static ability. We'll know a little bit more in terms of Oracle text and rulings as spoiler season goes on. But again, think of it like a curse or a Planeswalker, a permanent that your opponent has that you attack into. But in this case, a Planeswalker you control, this you attach onto an opponent where they protect it, but you still own that permanent as far as I'm aware. You cast that, so you still own this permanent. Now, moving to the damage side of things, you'll notice that the kind of, if I hide my camera again, the battle itself has 3 damage, 3 life at the bottom right. So similar to loyalty on a Planeswalker. The thing that we're not clear about is this 3 damage that we have to deal with it? So for example, a 3 power creature can attack into this and immediately flips, or is this 3 instances of damage? So 15 damage could hit this, but then it still loses 1 counter, goes to 2. Can we remove counters by attacking with a 0 power creature? So if it's instances, it doesn't actually need to do any damage. So I'm thinking something like a Hedron Crab can actually attack into this, participate in the siege, the Invasion of Zendikar, and still contribute to this flipping. A lot of questions that we're not completely confirmed on. A lot of people are just going with the fact that this might just be 3 damage in total, which feels a little bit easy, but also in the sense that in a game of Commander, why would someone be incentivized to also attack this? You notice that you and other players can attack it. So why would someone other than you attack it? In that case, when it's defeated, does the person who defeated it cast the other side? Or is it still you casting it? So that'll kind of play into how maybe some of the rares and mythic battles are templated. So something to think about in terms of combat, really interesting in that sense. Next up, we want to talk about kind of the types itself. And in terms of types, remember that it's, kind of 2 things. It's not an enchantment, it's not an artifact, and this actually might be a low-key buff to Goad. So now you have another type on the battlefield, right? So not only was Goad preventing your opponent from attacking your Planeswalkers, they have to attack you, but this is another thing that Goad gets to protect. You can goad your opponent's creatures that can, attack into your, attack that thing. So maybe there's going to be a type, for example, again, not an enchantment or artifact. Maybe there's going to be a battle type that's like defense, where you actually have to protect it on your own. This you actually want to destroy as a type, but maybe you want to protect it, and that's kind of like a goad buff. As long as it's out, just like a static ability on a Planeswalker, maybe you're going to be able to gain that ability as long as it's there. But again, spoiler season will let us know. again, low key, this is probably a Goad buff, but hey, for all you commander players out there. Last thing I want to mention in terms of permanent type, it's not an enchantment, it's not an artifact. I've said that 3 or 4 times already, but something like Vindicate will be able to destroy this. Again, confirmation pending, but historically enchantments have been one of the most difficult card types to interact with, arguably even lands as well. But this is another permanent type that's actually really well protected, I would say. Again, if you can prevent combat, that is. But again, other than combat and destroy target permanent, there aren't really any ways to deal with this. So I'm wondering if there's going to be cards from Magic's past that are going to be errated to then say, destroy target, exile target, battle, siege, whatever it is, or if they're just going to keep the templating and just keep it so it's destroy target permanent, maybe for flavor purposes, like, something that destroys target enchantment shouldn't be able to destroy a battle. Who knows? Again, spoiler season pending. Think about that permanent type and that Goad buff. Now, in terms of talking about the Awakened Skyclave, we have things like, Vigilance Haste. It's a 4/4, so it's not bad. You ramp out 2 lands, attack, deal 3 damage, you get another 4/4 haste, and something that, a little bit of a mana boost in terms of being able to cast anything. What are the type of decks that we're going to be playing this into? A little bit of green aggro coming out of the card, maybe not necessarily played in that, but adding 1 mana of any color with haste unstopped is pretty sweet. So you attack in, you get a little bit of ramp for your second main phase, maybe then you play your land because you haven't played your land in your first main phase. You just kind of burst out a little bit of stuff. There's a little bit of value to be had with the Awakened Skyclave. Now, what are some ways that we can stop this card? And I want to take advantage of some of the wording that's presented to us. And one thing that I want you to keep in mind is the fact that the last half, the creature half, is cast. So once it is defeated, you exile it, return, you cast this side. And so whether it's a creature, whether it's an instant or sorcery, because according to the template of this wording, you will cast the other side. So it doesn't need to be a creature. It could be an instant. It could be a sorcery that you get out of the battle. What are some ways to stop that? So first and foremost, we have something like Void Mirror, because whenever a player casts a spell, if no colored mana is spent to cast it, counter that spell. So this is going to be a cool way to actually counter the battle. So if battles become very prevalent in Eternal formats, because this is out of Modern Horizons set, we could see Void Mirror seeing an uptick, not only for things like the elementals, but something like battles, especially those mythics and rares. We get a lot of value out of one. Good way to counter that other side, because again, repeating myself, if it says cast on all the battle types, that means it could be instants, could be sorceries, could be very big creatures that you want to take advantage of stopping with something like Void Mirror. And then also there's things like Deafening Silence, where if it is an instant or sorcery, your opponent cast their battle. That's a non-creature spell. They then attack because you have nothing to defend it, and they flip it. Well, guess what? Something like Deafening Silence prevents them from casting the other side. It then exiles itself, and then they can't cast it. So Deafening Silence could also, I'm not saying this is going to become like a staple of the format, but I'm saying that effects like this stop battles if the templating is the same. So think of cards like Thalia, Guardian of Thraben as well. If we get instant or sorcery, enchantment, artifact style effects on the other side of battles, and stuff like that. The kind of last thing that I want to talk about is, at the end of the day, this is only the first battle that we've seen. Note that siege is actually a subtype. Are we, as I mentioned, going to see defense as another type of battle? Are we going to see different types of siege, battle, ambush, whatever type of battles happening all over March of the Machines or Zendikar or whatever coming to Magic the Gathering? How is the templating going to be on those? Are they still going to have the life at the bottom? Do we have to enchant ourselves and defend it ourselves? Or what is it going to look like? This is our first look at Magic the Gathering's latest, newest card type. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about potential other card types. And for all of those that are following the channel, are we going to see any common battles? Are we going to see any battles that we could interact with as a mill player? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. And I am so excited for spoiler season coming up, honestly, tomorrow.